Welcome, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8.6. Okay, just wanted to start out here with Omar Bradley here, leading a doomed but damned hard fight with mountain troops. Lewis here, holding with the airborne, who's doing a little better, but ultimately doomed. I mean, both of them are ultimately doomed, but they are keeping the SS. Basically, all of the Waffen SS. There's still a few divisions coming up here, and I have taken steps to start moving Das Reich to somewhere more useful. Where is it? Here. There we are. Let's send you out over here too. Not maybe so much more useful, but to where we can pick them up. Now, if you happen to look closely, you'll notice things have changed since the end of last episode. Because before saving it and messing around with things, I would mess around with things. And I tried to save it and it crashed, so I had to go back and replay. But things are a little bit different. Good. These guys here pretty soon. Still basically the same overall thing. Okay, now you immediately start heading back because I've been diligently fighting it, but we have a real air war going on here with lots of bombing of ports. I am sending over HQ so that we will reorganize once they're here. Probably put too many here. Units, so well, you know, we're gonna cancel that movement order. These guys, we will send them straight to here to St. John's Transport. That'll be good. Okay, you head back. We'll wait till the attack mission is done. Been doing all right in our battles, at least seemingly. Okay, yeah, get across this river here. But there's still a lot, and the U.S. Air Force is really good. Well, while you wait for fuel, you can support that attack. Once the U.S. really gets active, they are damned effective. See, they just about completely flattened this port. Ah, good. More units showed up. Well, don't know if I should attach them somewhere else or use them as fast moving. don't know if that move was better than sending them up here, but guys, although we're basically blocked, I think are winning the battle against whoever they're sending against us. You back into those guys. Yeah, the U.S. armor starting to show up here. We could better start doing well. We're gonna be munched. Yep, like I say, there's the U.S. armor backing us. Gotta move forward. Okay, well. I guess that's not maybe where I want to send you. Yeah. Our car designs. Useful. We've got a high velocity tank gun, so let's improve our Sturmgeschütz. You get up and start intercepting everybody. You head back to get prepared. We still hold more units here. Yes. There we go. You come across here. And join the fight. Oh, there we go. We're going after their bombers mostly right there. You put that attack because I want to cut off supplies going out here. And we're moving supplies through here, yeah, through St. John's, which decent size air port. Not airport, but a port. Portland, Maine. Artillery barrel and ammunition has advanced. training, air superiority tactics. Let's go look at that. Okay, well, oh, it's air battles that are going on here. Against... What is there? Trying to bomb our air battle, our ships. Okay, well... Detach, we're gonna have a... Well, commanders soon. Yes, that may hold up there, but I just don't know. There's a big bank of everything there. Cut off all these retreating units if I can. Oh hell, look at what happened to these guys. Oh boy, hopefully they can make it through. They may have lost some transports. I did provide some air cover, but maybe not enough, I presume, I guess. Hold on, don't let you get the honor point there. Even in about for back for sure. You get up and intercept. I really love to automate this more, but the AI just really can't handle that. Wow. Well, the AI is sort of handling it for the other side. I just don't think there's a good way. We'll let them fight a little longer. Part of the big problem here is that we are overstressing whatever these air bases can handle by far. So you can fly out of them. At least this is my understanding. You can have a level 1 airbase and you can put 100 aircraft in it and they'll all fly quite effectively out of level 1 airbase. But they just won't, they will only be repairing one unit at a time. You know, so if all 4 of these get damaged, they will wait and fully repair 1 unit, then go to the next unit, then go to the next unit. So it takes forever. So what I'm doing is sending them back so that reinforcements, upgrades, whatever can be happened simultaneously, you know, to multiple units at once. And so that's sort of the big difference. Okay, well, let's smash into these guys and come here and cut off them. You come up through here. Uh-oh. We made it across the river, but the U.S. is counterattacking. We will send supplies straight into Brownsville. Now, Rotterdam. I was down at one point to like 17 unused convoys. Portland? Okay, oh good, so we have more air bases there. Okay, they're not in any good shape. Oh, they're good. These guys will come over to here. How big is this base? 2. Not very big. This one is all jammed up with that, but also 2. So, oh, well, how big is Brownsville? 4 or 7 units. Yeah, we'll do that one. Let's go up along this river line. Rommel thinks we should. On the Rio Grande. You know, some of the American rivers. Do you well? Oh good, these guys finally made it here. Okay, you and you head into there. You keep going there. You come down here towards, as we can see down here, this is where we get jungle, so that's where the colonial light infantry will do sort of the best. And you come up into here. Put that back. Ooh, ooh. Oh, look at this. Look. Oh god, they're munched. I lost all of the, I think all the units, because that looks more or less what they were. So I think all the units made it through alive, but we lost some support and even some of the transport. So okay, you hide into port. Hopefully with air power they won't be bombed to hell. Gotta run more protected, proper convoys. Go home after the next operation. Convoy spotted, attack it, and then cut them off. Oh wow, look at all those guys jumping. Allied there. help with those attacks. Rommel always left to do too much with too little, even when I'm playing or having him here. Oh yes, heavy armor will help with this attack for sure. And we will put in Pitcher. We'll get a little more reorganized. Okay, light anti-aircraft armament advances, and that I do believe it is on here for cruisers. Damage control, that's upgradable. Commando unit set of advance, I think we'll let that continue. Looking at a chart, I think it was yesterday, of comparable tank production between basically anyone who was making tanks. It seems like, you know, the Americans, the Italians, Soviets, British, Germans, whatever, year by year, just tank and assault guns. And so I'm not absolutely, it was just a general sort of chart. Not absolutely sure exactly, one, how accurate, because I know Soviet stats are incorrect. Again, I know that they are from the reading, because from research that has been done, if factories didn't meet their goals, it was because of sabotage, as opposed to just, oh, steel didn't show up one day, you know. But now you could say, well, the Soviet factory boss could report that the steel didn't show up one day. Well, that'd be a lie, of course, because the train said that they delivered the steel, and the steel mills said that they produced the steel. Because if the steel mill didn't produce the steel to quotas, they would be committing sabotage. So they didn't admit to not doing it. And if the trains didn't deliver the supposed amounts of steel to the factory or whatever, they would be railway sabotage. So the you know, so they lied to themselves internally. We know that. Now, how big and how often, I don't know that for a fact. You know, I don't have any good reads over it. Is the lie mostly right, but 10% off? We need a better fighting unit there. Okay. Do we have even better than some of these militia guys? Well, let's send you in. And the militia guy here. A couple of these guys. So we don't, really, I don't think anybody has a good handle on how often, how much they were off by, at what point. So we know so we know that was a lie, and we also, internally they lied to themselves. But we also know that they lied to the outside world too. Stalin was constantly, and whether it's Stalin himself or just shall we say the Soviet propaganda press states how much tank production, even if they break it down by factory, they're lying. Within knowingly to the world as well. So you know, so it's, if you want to go, oh well, you have some, you know, look at the internal stats or whatever. Well, yeah, but like I say, those are suspect, very much so. So we know the Soviets' stats are off, but yeah, I'm gonna say generally some idea. We have some vague idea of what they produced, but it was sort of interesting. One of the things, and I saved the chart. And unfortunately, right now, it seems that if I go over to look at my desktop with my current, I'm using OBS Studio to record this. I can either record a game or I can record a desktop. Well, if I record a desktop with Hearts of Iron 3, it won't show this as my desktop. It'll show what's underneath or behind this. Where when I do Strategic Command, it won't ever show the game. The Strategic Command does not show up as a game, and I know this, and it's not just me. It's some sort of known problem with the game development. Well, the publisher knows about it, and the publisher talked that they've informed the production people, the developers of this problem, and they're sort of working on it. But with that one, it does show up if I record my desktop, as opposed to recording the game. So I just, you know, desktop full, you know, or, you know, do it full and record the desktop. So, but now there's some games I can either do the desktop and or game mode, which there's different reasons for those, other than just some works better than others with some games. So I could, if I could go and dig up the graphic and bring it on top of here and show you. Can't really, but I would like to get some of those enhancements because I'll tell you guys, so far I'm able to record these without now going through a secondary editing and then long-term rendering out, you know, as in like half an hour or whatever to render out an episode. That is why I don't do any editing, because it would bog down my production time greatly. Let's buy a few more production licenses from Tibet. I'm hoping that helps our... Oh, we can't yet. So I would love to be able to, with ease, bring in other graphics and things when I talk about stuff. But maybe someday, where, you know, it depends on what's going on. But it was sort of interesting, this graphic. It shows the U.S. tank production going up, you know, from 41 to 42, you know, big jump. Very big jump into 43, you know, higher, more production. And then, like, you know, 44, we're going down to only 2/3 of what was happening in 43. Because, you know, we don't need any more tanks. We've got enough tanks. What are we going to do with more tanks? That's really, you know, the American capability was like, we've got enough. Now, 45 was very low, but now remember, World War II ends in April, at least for Europe, and the main tank-using theater ends in April in 45. So that's why all of the figures for all of the countries go down dramatically in 45. And because they only kept in production, or, you know, limited, you know, like for the British it was the new Centurion tank, the British, or the Americans it was the Pershing, like JS3s or whatever. Excuse me, for the Soviet Union, you know, so there was still some sort of advanced tank production, but the volume plummets. But where, like, the Germans, you know, are struggling and trying to do is, you know, so from 43 to 44, they're getting more tanks. The Soviets are getting more tanks from 43 to 44. Americans are going down, you know, and the Soviet, but if you compare the Americans, I think even in 43 were beating the overall tank productions of the Germans alone, and the Soviets were about doubling tank production in 44 over the Germans, according to this chart. So, you know, so if you combine the Americans and the Germans alone, they were clobbering German production. And of course, you still had the actual British production as well, too. So, just interesting viewpoints and perspectives, I think, with looking at how the war was working out. That is why I say, oh, good, we got more units here. The only ones to really have won World War II, not the only ones who contributed to the winning of it, that's not what I mean, but the only real winner in World War II was the Americans. The rest I would call, that were on the winning side, survivors. Yeah, that's sort of the distinction I want to make, is not, you know, who's responsible for the victory. Just like, they're the only ones to really come out really sort of far ahead of things, was the Americans from where they started at. The other nations, they survived the war, most assuredly. Not greatly. Oh, you go. I know you're thinking this is a nice place to get refitted, but too many air attacks going on. Jet engine in advance. So finally now in February 45, and it's partially my, I think only partially, but my fault for delaying some of the earlier production, or research I should say. So which one was that we just got done? Jet engines increased to 1, so that would be here. Okay, so let's come over here for jet fighters. And we'll do some more. I'll combine. Well, we will start pulling off of some of these. Again, as I've said before, I don't think, because I know it wasn't in the last playthrough, jets weren't very well modeled against how well standard fighters were. They should be expanding airbase. No, thank you. No, thank you. Got enough of these now coming to America. I don't want them pulled off of wherever they might be. Get them from another province. Of course, alone was useful. Alone was useful. Okay. Yeah, they're having some trouble being hit by some of these guys. Wow. Okay. That's why we're getting involved in the fight. Okay, still not there yet. They're heading back. Oh, okay, well. Now, this counterattack's not going to go anywhere. Uh-oh. Yeah, it looks like they bombed out my transports here. Just for your information, all those transports that got these divisions here gone. Not enough air power up and flying. Not enough. Escorts. I'm down here behind Boston instead of having a big city fight with armored divisions. if you think this Hermann Goering division is overly bloated for the size of all these at 46,000 men. Just was reading one of the books by Guderian that he wrote after the war. At one time, well, in like 40, I think it was in 43, the Hermann Goering division was like 36,000 men, and supposedly 2/3 of the division wasn't in active combat at the time when that number was taken. So it was very much sort of one of these, you know, bloated. See, we're getting, yeah. So some of the waste that we sort of portray with Goering was very, very real, shall we say. And it's not that having a division approximately the 3 times the size of most other divisions is in and of itself bad. It's that it's that way while other units are fighting at say 2/3 strength. A lot of divisions are fighting at like at best 2/3 strength, and some of course, you know, are, you know, get ripped apart and are shadows of themselves. Whether they're actively fighting or not is another question at that point. But we're saying no to more of these. They're good, but aircraft or carrier aircraft prototype has advanced. Good. We are putting this over to jets. Oh, okay. More fighters. We already have 8 there, but let's go to 16. And then let's do, oh, more fighters. Super a lot more because we need them. We don't yet have jets to produce. They should be near game changers, jets. Well, I say that, and that's not historically true. The Italians, I think, were one of the first with a operational jet fighter. You know, actually beat the Germans out by a year or more. You know, but their jet fighter, well, operational, let's say prototype, operational prototype jet fighter. They didn't get them into production. That's not. They didn't. Please, if I made you think they got them into production, or if I thought, no, they didn't get them into production. But they had a, you know, an aircraft that would fly. That was functional. The jet engine was functional. You had machine guns or whatever, and they were, you know, prototype flying that they could have put into production. But its speed was at best just barely marginally better than piston engines at the time. It just wasn't a very good jet engine. The jet engine worked and, you know, was the only thing powering the aircraft. But that particular design of a jet engine wasn't, you know, power-wise, speed-wise, however you want to say it, effectiveness, better, significantly better than, you know, a fast 109 or something. You know, it'd be faster than a Stuka or something that was particularly slow, or, you know, one of those type of aircraft. But so the Italians, of course, at that point weren't putting it into production because, hey, if it ain't any better and it's going to cost a lot more, or cost more, whether it's a lot or a little more, cost more to put it into production than the standard why do it? And of course, you don't do that. So yeah, so just because it's jet doesn't necessarily mean it in and of itself is a game changer, but it can be, like the ME-262 was. That was a, you know, oh shit, it's just, you know, overwhelming. Now, of course, oh, well, we got this guy here. We need to get him across the river to the SS unit so we can use these guys here in the safe zone. As Chuck Yeager sort of famously says, well, the first time I ever saw a jet, you know, an actual seeing one, not just a photo one, I shot it down. You know, and it's true. Now, he does sort of say it was, I don't know, what exactly underhanded or whatever, because it didn't sort of see him or whatever. It was going into land at the time, and you know, so it was slowing down, so he was able to get it. I think he was flying a Mustang, I'm guessing, at the time, and so that's when a lot of the 262s were shot down, when they were coming into land. Of course, that's what you know. It's not dishonorable or whatever, really, but it's not like, ooh, I outflew the other pilot. No, because he was just coming into land. But you know, it's also like you shoot him up on the ground too when you can. It's not bad or wrong, but it isn't like as good achievement award, if you will. You know, shooting down a jet fighter and, you know, in a dogfight versus as they're coming into land. Still an air victory, but it's not as heroic as an air victory as others could be. Let's come in this way. Come in the little flank here. No, I'm changing my mind. Let's come in this way and port our penetrations to there. Got all these guys here. Remove the capital. Well, on that note, we're going to end this episode. I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. After that last video of yesterday, probably more than half people quit, so you know, need to get subscribers back up. So if you would, please subscribe to the channel, and of course, please post questions, comments, suggestions, ideas, corrections. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.